The 2011 floods devastated the low-lying suburbs of inner Brisbane near the river. An estimated 14,000 homes were damaged during those floods, and for Auchenflower resident Lee Ruig, the disaster was a wake-up call.
The house was pretty well trashed. I had to throw everything out, pretty much.
She raised her home herself, and years later received Brisbane City Council funding to make her property more floodproof inside by changing out the materials used for her walls and cabinetry. But last year, the waters again crept in.
What are you doing?
Despite the inundation, this time Lee was better prepared. She was only out of her home for about 3 weeks.
You basically hose it off and move on.
The Queensland and federal governments announced more than $700 million so homeowners could retrofit, raise or have their homes bought off them. Lee says some of her neighbours are taking up the offer to sell up, but that's just not an option for her. Instead, she's going to raise her home again.
I didn't want to leave my home. I love this area, my kids are around here, my friends, and it's a wonderful area to live in. Lovely neighbourhood, except for when it floods.
James Davidson's architecture company helped design the Brisbane Council flood resilience scheme Lee was part of.
Hey Lee.
How are you?
And having a hand in creating the state government floodproofing guidelines, they've been assessing properties for retrofits for the past 6 months.
The critical things to consider are hardwood timbers. That's a great one because hardwood actually does dry out. And you washed this out and you didn't even repaint, right?
No, not yet.
Like plasterboard or gyprock, those sorts of products are big no-nos.
This same advice is now being extended over the border to the New South Wales government. The idea being to get more people flood educated and ready.
If it keeps going this way, then I think we might see a lot less damage next time round.
2 o'clock in the morning I woke up and it was this deep.
But key to future-proofing properties comes down to not only how they're being rebuilt after a disaster, but how they're designed in the first place. The issue in Australia is that there is no requirement in the construction code to ensure the property can withstand these extreme weather events. James says that means insurers and their builders aren't obliged to improve their standards.
Until there's a code change, it's not mandated that you need to build back better. And so the first thing I would do is do a review of the Australian standard for flooding. It is a big industry. There are a lot of people making a lot of money out of flooding and putting like-for-like materials back in. Like it's difficult to get a change like that happening.